You know what keeps me up at night as a business owner? Falling behind, not just on trends, but on the tools and systems that are actually moving the needle right now. And here's a stat that really hit me. Every day your business is late to AI, you fall 2 days behind. 2 days every single day. The competition is only moving faster. So sitting on the sidelines and waiting to figure it out, that's just not an option anymore. Fortunately, there is NetSuite next. Here's the thing. You probably already know about NetSuite, the AI-powered business management suite, trusted by over 43,000 customers that securely connects all of your data, financials, inventory, commerce, HR, and CRM, all in one single source of truth. But NetSuite Next, this is the next huge step and leap in how business gets done, because now AI is built into absolutely everything that you do. It automatically surfaces custom insights throughout your day, so you always know what's happening in your business. AI agents work right alongside you to solve problems and handle routine work. And anytime you have a question about anything, you just ask, like having a conversation with the smartest colleague you've ever had. And here's what I really love. NetSuite is customized for a wide range of industries, so it actually supports the way your specific business works. This isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. If I needed a business management suite, this is exactly what I'd use. Whether your company earns millions or even hundreds of millions, it's time for NetSuite Next, where your business meets AI. For the very first time, you can try NetSuite Next for free. If your revenues are at least in the seven figures, go to netsuite.ai/SPI. Built for every industry, ready for every boardroom, netsuite.ai/SPI. So let me ask you something. Does your computer feel slower than it used to? Does it heat up when you open a few tabs or sound like it's preparing for liftoff every time it runs a scan? Here's the thing. Your device probably isn't the problem. Your antivirus is. A lot of big-name antivirus programs have become bulky, complicated, and full of pop-ups and upsells that slow everything down. And in a world where AI has completely changed the cybersecurity game, where scams are smarter, malware is faster, and phishing emails look shockingly real, you need protection that can actually keep up. And that's where WebRoot comes in. WebRoot Essentials scans 6 times faster and takes up 33 times less space than the average competitor. It ranks number 1 in performance compared to Norton and McAfee, and WebRoot Total Protection gives you antivirus, identity monitoring, privacy protection, and cloud backup, all in one simple, hassle-free subscription. And here's what I love about it. WebRoot keeps you protected online while staying completely out of your way. No slowdowns, no pop-ups, no drama, just powerful protection running quietly in the background while you get on with your life. Unlike free antivirus tools or older security programs, WebRoot is built to counter modern AI-driven attacks. It's fast, lightweight, and designed to spot threats before they even reach you. And right now, WebRoot is offering listeners of this show an exclusive 60% off. Visit webroot.com/SMART to learn more. Live a better digital life with WebRoot. Is your business taking off? Well, now's the time to act fast and hire help, but it can't just be anyone. Find the person who gets your brand and has the skills that matter on Indeed. No more struggling to get your listing noticed on other sites. With Indeed Sponsored Jobs, your post stands out and attracts the right candidates fast, and it really works. Sponsored jobs are 90% more likely to result in a hire, so this is truly the best way to reach top talent. That's how I do it if I were looking for anybody from podcast editors to community experts. Background matters, and Indeed allows me to narrow my search to people with the right experience and know-how. Possible candidates with years of experience on shows just like this one. And here's the thing with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. I get people who actually fit my requirements. No more digging through resumes. Plus, you only pay for results on Indeed. No monthly subscriptions, just a boost when you need to hire fast. So spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. Now with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/SmartPassive. Just go to Indeed.com/SmartPassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/SmartPassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Today is the 18th anniversary, not for my wife and I, but for Let Go Day. That's right. Today is Let Go Day, the day that I was laid off from my architecture job back in 2008. It is now 2026, 18 years later, and boy, has a lot happened since then. Of course, many of you know that I started to work on my own thing, and that thing led to another thing, and it led to another thing, and it led to another thing, and here we are, which is crazy. But I wanted to go over those things a little bit and some of those lessons learned right here in episode 934, because 18 years is a long time. In fact, a lot of the OG entrepreneurs have moved on to other things, and I'm still here, and I've been doing this for now 18 years. I've learned a lot, have changed my mindset about a lot of things. And I want to start with a mindset shift that happened as soon as I turned 40. This is not just related to business, and most of what I'm going to talk about might be related to both business and personal and just growing up. But this first one has been absolutely key for a number of reasons. It's key because I was stuck in a mindset for a very long time, one that pushed me away from new things potentially, one that held me back from achieving newer goals, one that I am forever past. And that is the idea that I give so much crap about what others think. Now, of course, as an entrepreneur, you need to understand what other people think. You need to understand how to process that, how to problem solve from that. In fact, the real definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who solves problems and builds a business. And of course, you can't properly do that if you don't hear other people out. I'm not just talking about constructive criticism. I mean, that's all important, of course. But I was so in my head for so long about making sure that everybody liked me, making sure that I did all the right things and not to upset people. And even when people were upset, even when people had things to say about me or my decisions in business at Smart Passive Income and in other projects, I would always try to change their minds. And you might be familiar with what it's like to change somebody's mind, somebody who is very steadfast in a particular path or doesn't have the right kind of mindset to understand. And we see this in the political world. We see this in the world of business. We see this in relationships. And the one thing I've learned is that it's not that big of a deal. It's important sometimes, especially depending on who is speaking to you. Of course, if my wife has anything to say about me, I am all ears. That's another thing I've learned in 18 years. I'm all ears, not all mouth. Because I used to just want to get into solving the problems again right away without even listening. So that's another whole lesson in another completely different podcast episode, probably about just married life. And my wife and I, April and I, are still very happily married. In fact, better than ever. The kids are now 16 and 13 years old. I only have 3 summers left with my son until he's off to college or wherever he chooses to spend his time. And just a few more than that with Kai. So the marriage has been very great. We've listened to each other. We've supported each other. We've learned about each other. I got to say, this might sound off-putting to some people, but learning about the Enneagram was very important for me and April's relationship to help us understand about each other and why we reacted certain ways to certain things. And it wasn't because we disagreed per se. It's more because we didn't understand each other. And over the years, we've begun to do that and still are learning about each other. And, you know, it's not always perfect. But I see, just like in every business problem, I see every opportunity where there is a disconnect as an opportunity to reconnect, as an opportunity to get stronger, right? Almost like muscles breaking down. As long as you're eating that protein, you're going to come back stronger. So eat your protein. That's another lesson. I don't really have an order to these lessons, by the way. I'm kind of just going off the top right now. And a part of the reason I wanted to do that is I just wanted to see where my mind wanted to go. Which takes me to another lesson with relation to preparedness. In the early days of my entrepreneurial journey, I wanted to be overly prepared. I wanted every single word figured out. I wanted every single thing, opportunity, every single scenario accounted for. Because if something went wrong, I would at least know how to deal with it. But I've actually gotten a lot of inspiration from a man named Harry Mack. M-A-C-K. And for those of you listening, or maybe you're listening in the car and your kids or your younger adults might know who Harry Mack is. They're like, what's this guy talking? Harry Mack? I know Harry Mack. If you don't know Harry Mack, you should know him. He's one of the most incredible, off-the-top, freestyle rappers that you will ever come across. Just mind-blowing the way he makes connections, not just rhyming words, but coming up with stories and connections, and it's just absolutely mind-blowing. Please look up Harry Mack if you have a moment on the toilet or something while you're scrolling TikTok. Harry Mack is a genius, and I studied him because he impressed me so much. And I didn't study him because I wanted to be a rapper myself, although I have learned to do that. I've learned a little bit about rapping and rhyming off the top of the dome, as he says, but not because I want to win a rap battle or ever compete on stage like Eminem did in 8 Mile, But I was curious about how he got so good at it, right? I'm always curious about how high performers, how people achieve excellence. And Harry Mack made it plain and simple, because he's actually talked about this quite a bit on interviews, and he's even shared this on his live streams before. I'm a big fan of him, by the way. He said it all comes down to practice. Practice. And not practice in the Allen Iverson sense of practice, but in the idea that practice allows you to get to when you're on stage, you don't even have to think anymore. Because in practice, just like when you were learning an instrument, right? You go over those parts that were troublesome. You don't practice the things you're good at when you're performing or learning to perform an instrument. You practice the things that you're not good at. Yet when we are growing up through life, we don't want to put ourselves in situations where we are making mistakes or where we are fumbling. It's important to do that. I wrote a whole book about this called Lean Learning. And in that book, I talk about the importance of failing, or the first attempt in learning. I didn't come up with that, by the way. First time I heard that was John Lee Dumas, which this connects to another thought here in just a moment. John Lee Dumas does. But I want to finish my thought on this idea of preparedness, because back in the day, I used to over-prepare. And now I just practice. I practice, not leading up to a talk. I practice all the time. I practice storytelling when I'm at the dinner table or when I'm chatting with my kids in the car. I'm practicing writing when I am learning how to write emails, even just to friends. I am always practicing so that when the moment comes where I have to be on the stage or in the spotlight or write that sales copy, or I'm having a conversation that's tough, the practice allows me to just do. Because when you become a master at something, you just do it. It doesn't just happen one day. It actually happens through, as Malcolm Gladwell would say, the 10,000 hours that are required to reach that level of mastery. But we're never going to get to that level if we are afraid. We're never going to get to that level if we don't try or fall flat on our face sometimes. But I've learned that people love when I fall flat on my face. This was another lesson I learned in 2010 with a failed software project. I've had failed launches. I've had failed relationships publicly. Anybody remember Tyrone Shum? Sorry if he's listening to this, probably not. But I ended up partnering with him, and then he ended up confessing to everybody that he was a liar and was inflating his income just to look better in front of everybody. After I partnered with him, and I didn't do a good job of reading him the way that I should, I got excited about the partnership and things that we were going to create together. And thankfully, his conscience got to him, and he was outgoing with what he was doing, but it definitely put me under fire. There were a lot of people who left SPI or didn't trust me anymore because of who I was associated with. Relationships are extremely important. And getting together and learning about who a person is, not just as a partner or a business owner, but a person, is absolutely imperative. If somebody is an employee, getting to know them not just because they have amazing skills or can get the job done on time, but because they match the values that you have, because they are supporting the mission that you have, not just the task that has been brought upon them. And the only way to really do this, to get to know somebody, is to have regular conversations with them. It's important to have regular conversations with your team members. It's important to have regular conversations with your partners. And it's important to have regular conversations with your audience and the other people in your space, the other leaders and influencers and thought leaders that are there. I think I was one of the first, way back when I first started, to try to really connect with my audience as it was being built. I remember I had less than 5,000 email subscribers. We're, multi-six figures now in terms of number of subscribers. But even before I hit 10,000 subscribers, I was having Skype conversations so that I can learn about exactly who was subscribing and why were they there and what did they want? What did they dislike? What were they hoping for? Why did they gravitate toward me? To hear it just directly from them helped me so much. And I know that we're all connected to our audience in many different ways now, especially on social media, but have you ever had a conversation with your people, sat down with them? This is why getting together in person is so important and why COVID was so hard in 2020. It was so hard because we were all craving connection. I just started FlynnCon to bring people together in person because I knew there were so many powerful things happening when you brought people together in person. I launched my book, Superfans, in person at FlynnCon in San Diego. We had 500 entrepreneurs come by, and it was mind-blowing, the experience. We lost money on that event, but you don't make money on the events for the first few goes. But it wasn't about the money. It was about the connection. And then COVID happened, and then everybody couldn't connect. So I did two things. We created the SPI community, which is absolutely thriving today. I want to give a shout out to Liz Wilcox, who ever since she's come in has been just mind-blowingly amazing at rallying everybody and getting everybody fired up. She just brings that energy, which is incredible. Love you so much, Liz. And I also went live every day. The live streaming was key because today, in this world of AI slop and videos that could be done without you even knowing it's not a real person, the live streams are kind of the last thing we have left to really connect with people. That and the in-person stuff, of course. And if you've been following my journey in the Pokemon space, you'll know that I am not just talking the talk. I'm walking the walk. I've hosted now 5 card parties since 2023. This is an event that I host for the Pokemon community and the Pokemon creators and the brands and the sponsors. We had 9,500 people come to San Diego just last month. 9,500. That is crazy. We had 500 people at FlynnCon. We had 9,500 people in San Diego. We are hosting another event in Fort Lauderdale, aka Miami, at the end of July. And then our first time in the middle of the country in Dallas during Labor Day weekend in September this year in Dallas, which is going to be super cool. And everything's bigger in Dallas, right? So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be fire. But what we've been able to do there to allow for fans and creators to meet each other and for memories to be made. I mean, a dude that I know named Josh got a tattoo of the card party logo on his leg because of how meaningful this event was for him. He had a friend pass away who was supposed to come with him. And in a way, he felt like he was still there because the community showed up. And it was amazing. Josh, shout out to you, just Joshin. He is a creator who combines Pokemon with mental health and therapy, and that's his line of work. And it's just really amazing what Josh does. So shout out to Josh. And again, I met him in person for the first time, and we connected. And this is now, he's a featured creator at Card Party when he can make it. The live streams, I go live every single Monday. Just today, I'm recording on a Monday, we had 7,500 people watching concurrently a grown man open Pokemon cards, but enjoying it together and sharing the weirdness and the silliness together and who our favorite Pokemon was and what sets we're trying to complete and all this kind of stuff. And there were a lot of people, by the way, who were a lot older than me in that chat. And there were a lot of people who were a lot younger. And that's the cool thing about finding a niche like Pokemon or whatever it might be. You're going to find people across all ages, all parts of life, all parts of the world who can come together because you have something in common. Relatability has become one of the biggest keywords that you could ever begin to understand and practice. If you're trying to build an audience, how can you be relatable? This is exactly why a number of years back, many of you might remember that I had published an income report. This was a report that came out every single month starting in October of 2008, where I reported exactly how many sales I made. In the beginning, it was just the architecture ebook sales, and then later it was some affiliate sales, and then it was InfoBarrel, writing for InfoBarrel and ehow.com and making a few dollars and cents there. And then it was selling Bluehost and Market Samurai and Longtail Pro and all these softwares that were required for the things that I was teaching. And I was just giving it all away for free, giving the information away for free. And because I was doing that and I was showing people the results, not talking the talk, but actually using myself as a case study, this is where the term crash test dummy of online business came about. Shout out to Chase Reeves, who designed my website at one point and came up with that tagline as a placeholder, but it stayed. The crash test dummy of online business. And then the income report started to grow. In 2013, started to write books. That income got added. In 2017, started selling my first online courses, the first one called Smart from Scratch, which still today is helping people. That was actually coming off of my first book, Will It Fly, which was about how to test new business ideas without wasting your time and money. And so many people love that book, but they wanted more. And I was like, everything is there. You don't need more. And they're like, we want more. We want the videos. Show us. So we created Smart from Scratch, which has since been attended an online course by 30,000 plus people. Now, that being said, that number is huge, yes, but a majority of that was because we gave that course away for free during COVID to people who were struggling and trying to get started with their online business. And many people have used that and have done very well. Andrea, I'm looking at you, one of our amazing community members who started with Smart from scratch and then built her own online courses to help parents and teens and young kids navigate technology together. BetterScreenTime.com. Shout out to Andrea, a STAR student. I mean, there are so many STAR students in this community. And if you want to be a part of that community, you can. Just come to smartpassiveincome.com and join the community. There's so many amazing people there. It's not even about me anymore. It's about you and your journey and connecting with other people who are there. You know what I've always believed? Your website should be one of your hardest working business assets, not a source of stress, bottlenecks, and endless back and forth with your dev team. And if you've ever watched a simple landing page request turn into a weeks-long project of tickets and handoffs, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is a momentum killer. And that's where Framer comes in. Framer is a complete website platform, not just a builder, and thousands of businesses from early stage startups to Fortune 500s are choosing Framer because changes take minutes instead of days. Here's what's really exciting about where Framer is right now, too. It's built for the way teams actually work in 2026. AI agents and humans work in tandem on the same canvas. Agents bring speed and scale. Your team brings in the taste, judgment, and control. And here's the part that really stands out. They're just not AI-generated ideas that need to be rebuilt from somewhere else. The agent works directly in the same place where your real site is designed, managed, reviewed, and published. It lands on the canvas, stays fully editable, and goes live when your team says it's ready. Agents help your team streamline collaboration, build custom code components, create and manage CMS content, optimize SEO settings, and ship everything from one place. That's what production-ready actually looks like. For enterprise teams, Framer delivers premium hosting, enterprise-grade security, and 99.99% uptime SLAs. World-class brands like Perplexity and Miro trust Framer with their .com because when every detail matters, Framer delivers. If you want a website that looks handcrafted, ships fast, and keeps getting better over time, this is it. Learn how you can get more out of your site from a Framer specialist or get started building for free today at framer.com/SPI for 30% off a Framer Pro annual plan. That's framer.com/SPI for 30% off. Framer.com/SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Here's one of the biggest lessons I've learned building multiple businesses. The fastest growing businesses aren't doing more, they're delegating smarter. And I know that's easier said than done because finding the right person at the right time with the right skills, that's where most business owners get stuck. That's exactly why I love Upwork. Upwork is a one-stop platform to find, hire, and pay expert freelancers across web and software development, data and analytics, marketing, business operations, and more. We're talking fast access to specialized talent across 125 plus categories, so you can fill skill gaps, launch projects faster, and scale support up or down without committing to full-time headcount. You can browse profiles, review past work, and even get help scoping the role so you hire with confidence and get started quickly. And with Upwork Business Plus, you get access to the top 1% of talent on Upwork with AI-powered shortlisting that matches you to the right freelancer in under 6 hours. No endless searching required. Upwork also handles contracts and payments in one place, cutting down all of that operational hassle so you can spend more time actually running your business. Thousands of businesses already trust Upwork for everything from one-off projects to ongoing support, and it's completely free to sign up. Posting a job is easy. Stop doing it all yourself. Delegate smarter with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. To go back to the income reports, there was a time when those income reports started to show revenue of over 6 figures a month. And it was at that point that the numbers were no longer relatable. People started to see those numbers, and I know this because they literally told me to my face that they moved on from my website, that I was too advanced for them. Even though I didn't change what I was saying, the perception was that I was beyond where people could start. And I was getting put into the same sort of bucket as the Tim Ferrisses and the Gary Vaynerchuks and the Amy Porterfields out there who were making millions. And yes, technically, if you looked at the numbers, you could be like, oh yeah, Pat's right there too. Now, taxes are one thing, first of all. But secondly, it, again, was just not relatable anymore. So I started to lose the audience, the core audience of people who were just starting out, who were like me when I got laid off, who just wanted to survive. And I was grateful that I was thriving and that I could participate in philanthropic efforts through organizations like Pencils of Promise, which I still do. In fact, that's even gone over to the Pokemon side of things. I've partnered with eBay Live on certain moments and certain things at Card Party to raise money for Pencils of Promise. And so it's pretty cool to see that is sort of going into that world as well. And that is coming back to organizations that are important to me. But I stopped the income reports because of it, because they just weren't relatable anymore, because it was beyond a beginner's comprehension of what was possible. So then we started to do case study reports. Whereas instead of here's how much money I made this month, it's here's a project I worked on and here is the revenue from it. Here is Will It Fly and how we generated over $250,000, not from direct book sales, but from indirect course sales from the book. This is how we collected email addresses. This is how we nurtured those people and brought them into the course and then later into the community. And it was cool because people really enjoyed that report. It was actually more helpful because I wasn't just being general about the things we were doing. We were being very specific. And a lot of people were using those to learn from and execute on their own, which is really cool. Now, on the topic of books, I still cannot thank you enough because it was almost exactly a year ago, a little over a year ago, in fact, that I found out that my latest book, Lean Learning, How to Achieve More by Learning Less, became a New York Times bestseller. Shout out to my publisher, Simon & Schuster, but that was unexpected. I mean, I knew we were going to do really well, but the New York Times listings are very competitive, and we got lucky with a week that didn't have a lot of competition, but it was a great book. It's still selling. In fact, it recently just got published in Chinese, in Taiwanese, and it was also published in South Korean. It is also being published, I believe, in Vietnam. And what's really cool is the Chinese and South Korean communities are very excited about the book. I've seen a lot of movement there already because it is a message that goes against how they were brought up. You know, they're a little bit lagging on kind of where we are at in the US as far as progressiveness in learning and entrepreneurship and self-sufficiency and those kinds of things, right? A lot of people from the Asian cultures, and I know this partly from the Filipino culture, the traditional Filipino culture, it's very academic, very you do as you're told, your paths are already set out for you, and if you veer off of that path, you're going to fail. And so it wasn't my choice to get off the path. I was let go in 2008, which has me very strong-willed about this idea of you can create your own path forward. And it just so happened that these books were sold to, the rights were sold to publishers in these countries, and these countries are really responding to it because their eyes are opening up to a lot of this as well. We've seen a lot of this in Japanese culture and how there's just this epidemic of loneliness. There's this epidemic of just kind of complacency in life over there. And some people, especially the younger crowd, are waking up to it. And so I'm grateful that I can share a message on this side of the world and have it affect others on the other side of the world. I'm not in tune with exactly how well the books are doing, but I have gotten direct messages that I've had to translate from people who are very grateful for the book, and that just blows my mind. That just absolutely blows my mind. The New York Times bestseller. Now, I go to Barnes & Noble every once in a while with the kids because they look to try to find things, and wherever there's a Barnes & Noble where there's a music section, my wife and daughter go to see if there's any new albums from their favorite K-pop group, Stray Kids, and oftentimes there are. And man, these guys got marketing down. You know, you can't just buy one album for the new release. You got to buy all 8 because there's one with each K-pop idol's face on it. And not only that, inside there are randomized PCs, photo cards, which is given Pokemon vibes with rarity and collection and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's insane. I've been studying it. But anyway, when I go to Barnes & Noble now, I always check to see where my book is at, and I see it at about half the stores. In fact, it's a lot less now that it's a year later. But I've had a lot of people ask me, Pat, how was your experience publishing traditionally? And it was okay. I've shared this before in previous podcast episodes. You could probably go back to exactly a year ago and hear my recaps about publishing and what I would do again. But for business books specifically, I don't think I would go the traditional route again. I mean, I made the New York Times bestsellers list. And as soon as that happened, I didn't hear anything else from my publisher. There was no publicity. There was nothing. In fact, I pretty much did most of the work. Again, a lot of what the publisher did was very helpful with the editing, the covers, the distribution, etc. Great. But the marketing was all me and all you, those of you who supported the book when it came out. I did a lot of things on social media to promote it. I promoted it and cross-promoted it in my Pokemon audience, and that helped for sure. But the Pokemon thing is taking off right now. It is absolutely crazy. I had an incredible coffee the other day with my good friend John Lee Dumas. Always good to catch up with old friends, and he's doing excellent. And he is somebody who by the way, was his guest number one. I think in 2013, 2012, whenever his podcast came out, definitely over a decade ago. I can always say, and I will always say, that I was his number one guest. Not because I was the best guest, but literally I was number one. That's kind of the joke, right? Hopefully I was number one. I don't know. I've been on the show a few times. I'm super grateful for John and his inspiration. He's got a beautiful boy, Bo. He and Kate produced one of the cutest babies, and I'm so happy for them. But we connected, we talked, and I talked a lot about where this Pokemon thing is headed and how big it is and how much higher the ceiling is for where this could go. And I'm proud to announce here on SPI for the first time, I think, that I am an official partner with Pokemon. I got invited, and I'm getting expenses paid to go to Pokemon Worlds this year in San Francisco, and they are setting me up in a hotel. I'm getting all the swag and the merch, which is cool, but more importantly, they're putting me into a space where I can do meet and greets with people in the official Pokemon Worlds, or Pokemon XP as it's called now. They're kind of separating the competition part from the experience part, but at Pokemon XP, I'll be doing meet and greets, and I'll be doing trades with people, and my name is on the Pokemon website. And it didn't happen right away, but it happened because I've been consistent since 2021 with creating content. Each of these videos now are guaranteed to hit over 1 million views within 3 to 5 days. Some of these videos have seen 20 million views, and these aren't shorts, by the way. These are 30-minute to 2-hour long videos. There's one 4.5-hour video compilation that's been seen over 4 million times. Some people say they put it on before they go to bed, which is amazing. And it continues to just grow more and more. And I do have some fun announcements and things that I can't quite share yet, but I'm really excited to share them with you soon about things I'm doing in that space to take things to the next level, to lean into the idea of building superfans. I have followed the book to a T, from creating some brand culture and our own almost characters and language within the realm of Deep Pocket Monster. Just being myself and sharing bits and parts of my weirdness and my family. I mean, there was a moment in my other channel, Short Pocket Monster, which is the Shorts channel. I started that in 2024, and we are approaching now 2 years of daily uploads on that. A lot of you have participated in the 30-day challenge, the daily challenge, and hopefully by the end of that, you've seen that how this is possible. So we're approaching 2 years now. We've seen a total of 10 billion views in 2 years. 10 billion with a B. We're seeing about 12 to 15 million views a day now on these Shorts channels. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and even Snapchat. Snapchat is doing pretty well. In the beginning, a lot of people started making fun of my thumbs because I have kind of weirdly shaped thumbs. They are club thumbs. If you've seen Megan Fox's thumb, we say that to make ourselves feel better because it's Megan Fox. But if you ever look up club thumb, you'll see the shape of my thumb. And I remember when I was doing the shorts, of course, these are videos that are really up close to my hands because I'm opening Pokemon cards. A lot of people started really making fun of my thumbs. Like, ugh, gross, disgusting, why would you do this, etc. And making me feel self-conscious. But again, I'm older now. I'm beyond 40, so I don't care. In fact, I'm going to use this to my advantage. I'm going to embrace my weird, which is a lesson that I talk about in Superfans. And I'm going to embrace my thumbs. Not literally, but figuratively. So what I did was I started showing off my thumbs and calling them Diglett thumbs. Diglett is a Pokemon that kind of has a weird shape, just like my thumb, and it kind of pops out of the ground. It's kind of strange looking, but it's Diglett, and it's one of the original 151 Pokemon, and it's a very well-known Pokemon. Just a lot of people don't care for it because it's not really that special. It just digs. But then people started to go with it. They're like, oh, my daily Diglett thumbs. Shout out to Diglett thumbs. Hopefully the thumbs are hot today, etc. And now when I go to events, whether they're my own events at Card Party or I go to attend another event and I go around and sign autographs or I do a meet and greet, the number one Pokemon card that I sign is, guess what? The Diglett. That's right. The Diglett. So the lesson here is to embrace your weird. Because guess what? There's that R word again, relatable. No, not everyone has the same thumbs that I do. That part's not relatable, but it's relatable to feel self-conscious about something about yourself. It's relatable to have other people make fun of you for something. And hopefully because of that, I can reflect the story that I'm telling myself about that onto the audience. And what's really crazy is I've gotten messages from people literally that say, Pat, I have Diglett thumbs too, and I was always self-conscious about them, but you've made me feel better about them. That is crazy. But what's also crazy is these videos, both the short form and the long form videos. And I'm not going to read any messages directly, but they have literally saved people's lives. Because I didn't know that the Pokemon channel was going to be about more than just Pokemon. It's about finding an escape. It's about imagination. It's about feeling joy where you might not usually find it. And I've had a ton. I mean, I'm talking thousands of pieces of fan mail, direct messages, people coming up to me at events and just pouring their heart out about what the channel has done for them. And I discovered this for the first time at Card Party 1 in Anaheim in 2023. I had no idea the impact that the channel was making in people's lives, in the lives of families, in the lives of those who were going through crazy times in life and having mental health challenges. I had a woman today on the live stream on Deep Pocket Monster. I go live every Monday. I had a woman tell me that her son, who is autistic, who is very silent, he does not say a word usually. When he watches the live stream, he talks to me. He's saying things like, "Hi, Pat," or "Great card," or "Let's go." Wow. And it reminds me of the story of Michal Stefanski, the runner who ran a marathon and crossed the finish line and held a banner up with my name on it as he was crossing the finish line because he had gone through an incredible accident and wasn't able to use his legs, and listened to my podcast every day and said that I was his coach, even though I didn't teach physical therapy. He got up every day. He kept listening to the motivation in these words here on this podcast. And he ended up creating an incredible goal for himself, one that was kind of outlandish because he couldn't even walk yet. He wanted to run the Berlin Marathon, and he ran it. And he had held a banner the entire 26.2 miles and opened it up as he crossed the finish line. And it said, "Thank you, God. Thank you to Gabby and his kids. And thank you, Pat Flynn." My name was on that banner. Because you never know who is listening. You never know who is watching. You never know who might need to hear from you. So as much as sometimes the internet and the world feels against us, like it's resisting the effort that we're trying to put out into it, know that there are people on the other end of that resistance who are waiting for you, who need you. And although there are other people who talk about the same things, who sell the same things, whatever, they are not you, and you are not them. There are people who will only gravitate towards you. And in this world, you don't need 1 million followers, 1 million subscribers, or even hundreds of thousands of them, or even tens of thousands. What if you just had 1,000 true fans, super fans? And if you think about it, that's 1 fan a day for less than 3 years. Can you make a new fan every day? Just 1 new fan. I promise you, if you work on it in that regard, if you strive for real connection, if you put yourself out there, amazing things will happen. Thank you for an incredible 18 years. I am looking forward to what the next years bring us. And I have a lot more to share, but that's going to be coming soon. And I'm excited because, and a lot of you have sent me messages, again, about Liz. She'll be joining me here on the podcast quite often now. I love her energy. She brings so much to the community, and she and I will be tag teaming together, and you'll hear our first tag teamed episode next week. Actually, an incredible interview, one that you are not going to want to miss. and I look forward to sharing it with you. So thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much for following on the journey. And if you've been here since day one, 18 years ago, I appreciate you so much. And if you're here for the first time today, I appreciate you just the same. Thank you. Hey, if you've been thinking about starting an online store but don't know where to begin, I've got something for you. It's the free 5-day Shopify challenge. And in just 5 days, I'll walk you through building your storefront, adding products, setting up payments, and actually launching your store to the world. No experience needed, no big budget required, just 5 days of showing up and doing the work. So go to smartpassiveincome.com/launch-your-store to sign up for free. That's smartpassiveincome.com/launch-your-store. Let's build something. I'll see you on day one.
What up? Liz Wilcox here. I have to tell you about something that genuinely changed how I think about building a business online. Look, I turned a $9 offer into multiple six figures without a single ad. It sounds unbelievable, but the secret wasn't some fancy funnel or a viral moment. It was relationships. I'm talking real human. I actually know your name relationships with the people on my list and inside my community. And that's exactly what the Superfans system is built on. It's a step-by-step framework that takes you from wherever you are right now, whether you're just starting out or you've been at this for a while, and it gives you a clear, focused path to building an audience that doesn't just follow you, but genuinely loves what you do. We're talking courses, community, a live support, and a system that's actually doable. We don't want to overwhelm you. We want you to stop guessing. And so we're going to give you this real roadmap to your real superfans. Are you ready? Yes, you are. Head to superfans.smartpassiveincome.com. Let's get you started.